our planet. A bear looking for food, in his rapidly shrinking habitat. We know what is happening today. From natural disasters, to forced migrations, threatening nations' security and social peace. But we are already working, fast, to deliver the infrastructure to enable clean energy, accelerating the transition from fossil to clean renewable energy. Globally, the first cross-border hydrogen valley is happening here. The North Adriatic region, uniting 3 countries, Italy, Slovenia, and Croatia. The North Adriatic cross-border hydrogen valley will contribute and accelerate the realization of a potential of 45,000 jobs and €3.6 billion per year added value in the 3 countries by 2030. Will kickstart the hydrogen economy in the 3 countries and attract the interest of the hydrogen industry and investors. Will bring various local public and private partners together to seek synergies and accelerate the energy transition. The Zero Emissions Mobility Corridor project is shaping the future of the region. This 24th of November is taking place the North Adriatic Cross-Border Hydrogen Valley Conference. Conference is a key meeting point for industry, government, research community and academia from 3 neighboring countries to work on plans for the transition to a future sustainable energy system. Partnership for carbon neutrality of the North Adriatic region. North Adriatic region will become carbon neutral and simultaneously thousands new jobs of the future will be created. This 24th of November, learn about sector integration. Discuss with technology leaders, meet with high-ranking representatives, explore opportunities. Participate in the opening of the first hydrogen refueling station in Slovenia. Conference is part of the Slovenian presidency agenda and is a side event of the 15th Set Plan Conference co-organized by Slovenian Presidency to European Council and European Commission. Contact us today, we are waiting for you.
Dear colleagues, short movie about the North Adriatic cross-border hydrogen valley that was opened yesterday in Slovenia on the border between Slovenia and Italy represents one of the efforts that Slovenia, Italy and Croatia are doing on the way to the European Green Deal challenges. Before we continue our meeting, I would like to say a few words about today's protocol. All today's presentations will be sent to you via email. And I'm also using this opportunity to thank to my co-workers, Ivica and Boris, and of course Simon Ferjuc and Mr. Kos from company Cosinus that is trying now, due to some technical problems, to connect with the rest of our colleagues. Now I would like to ask Mr. Ivica Jakić, President of the Croatian Association for the Development and Application of Hydrogen Fuel Cells, to share with us hydrogen as a new energy source and connection and cooperation between Slovenia, Croatia and European Union. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Once again, I wish you all welcome, and I'd like to thank you very much for yesterday, which we had party in Slovenia and border of Slovenia and Italy concerning the hydrogen valley. And it's a great challenge for all of us, mostly for our 3 nations, 3 countries, Croatia, Slovenia and Italy. What you are going to see now, hydrogen, as you know, is thought as new source of the fuel. Hydrogen is the storage of the energy. And how can we do it positive for our nations? And how can we use possibility to bring new employees and new working places? As you know, hydrogen, main point of the hydrogen is fuel cell. This which I'm holding in hands is called fuel cell. It's a small device which makes chemical energy to electro energy. Without noise, without rotation, only we have the water as product, and of course we get a lot of energy. The future has been changed. In the past few years, we have been talking about black hydrogen, gray hydrogen, blue hydrogen, turquoise, purple and green hydrogen. It means depending on the way how we have produced the hydrogen, how many percentage or how many kilograms of tons CO2 emission we have put in order to get 1 kilogram or 1 ton of the hydrogen. The European Commission has made one new decision that the clean hydrogen is each hydrogen which produces less than 3 tons of CO2 emission for 1 ton of the hydrogen. It means a new way of thinking about hydrogen. The most of all is very important to say hydrogen is an element which we get from the water. It means water is the future for us, and we know that water is almost everywhere. For 1 kilogram of the hydrogen to get, we need 10 liters of the water and 45 to 45 to 50 kilowatt hours of the energy. That brings us 1 kilogram of the hydrogen. One hydrogen, you know, is 14 times lighter than air. Volume of hydrogen, 1 kilogram brings 12.3 cubic meters. It means it has to be compressed in compressors. And of course, most important is that European Union support extremely the hydrogen production, hydrogen storage, transport and consumption. As you know, in Green Deal of Europe, they decided to go to produce more than 80 gigawatt of the hydrolyzers. 20 gigawatt of hydrolyzers should be in Europe, and another additionally 40 gigawatts should be spread in Ukraine and North Africa. From this hydrogen and this money which is from European side coming to investors is bringing every day, so that in the moment the production of the electrolyzers is very, very competitive and price is going lower and lower. Hydrogen production, storage, transportation, distribution technology is something which we are working for. Our association is working very strong on all these 3 pillars on the hydrogen technology. Hydrogen production, of course, from hydrogen getting from the water, splitting the water in electrolysis. But for us, it's also very important to get hydrogen from waste treatment with gasification technology. This brand new technology which brings production of hydrogen, once again, it is not incineration, it is not pyrolyzed, it is not plasma. It's getting hydrogen from gasification of the waste material, organic waste material. Problem with hydrogen storage, transportation, distribution is known, and now a lot of companies, European Union, are producing hydrogen storage, ground storage or hydrogen transport storage from steel or from additional plastic materials up to 1,000 bar pressure, which can be compressed. One way to get hydrogen, this is one principle how does work, and we can tell this is hydrogen valley. Hydrogen valley means we have to have production of the hydrogen, transport, storage and consumption. That brings one circle. Production of hydrogen in this picture is seen can be made from renewable energy sources as wind parks, solar parks, or geothermal parks, or with nuclear power plants. For the future, I think getting hydrogen should be mini nuclear power plants which should be able to produce power and hydrogen too. And storage of the hydrogen is going on the bottles, in the vessels, or also can be pipelines. In the moment, North European countries as Poland and Belgium and North Germany are producing pipelines and are getting to install more than 4,000 kilometers of the hydrogen pipelines, which will be able to bring hydrogen to each user. Just one comparison. One pipeline about 230 millimeters of the size, bring more energy than any high grid system which you can see. It means hydrogen is definitely a future fuel, but anyhow, how to tell that hydrogen is also used in ethanol, methanol, and ammonia. It means all green new products, all new green fuels are based on hydrogen, are accepted, and our association accepting also methanol, ethanol, and ammonia. And now is big trend in Europe, methanization of the CO2 in order to get methanol. Of course, with this complete chain about hydrogen, we are aware that a lot of places, a lot of industry will be involved in order to produce hydrogen. Now in Croatia, we are working on 3 projects for getting hydrogen. Each project is about 30 megawatts of the photovoltaic power plants in order to produce about 1.2 million kilograms of the hydrogen. This will bring us hydrogen for industry, mostly cement industry, steel industry, petrochemical industry, and also for transport as refueling stations. In order for traffic, hydrogen can be involved in roads, in bars, in railways, and of course in gas and hydrogen pipelines. Storage, we are, in our association, we are put port of Vukovar in the Danube River. It should be hydrogen port, green hydrogen port of Vukovar for transport hydrogen with a barge to Germany, to Austria, or the Middle Europe countries where it is needed for petrochemical industry or for steel industry. Of course, now is everybody talking about green steel, green plastic, green fertilizer, and can be done only with the decarbonization. It means with the usage of hydrogen. Agriculture is very important for us. It means that we are going to make refit of the tractors and other vehicles which will use hydrogen as the fuel instead of diesel fuel. Petrochemical industry, especially in Croatia, will be, I think, the biggest user of the hydrogen. As you know, they are producing fertilizer, ammonia, but getting the gray hydrogen from the natural gas. Anyhow, should be reused with the green hydrogen. Concerning traffic and passenger cars and truck, openly said that passenger cars for daily use about 50 to 100 kilometers we assume should be used by electric cars. But passenger cars with a travel distance about 500 kilometers or higher for light utility vehicles or buses or trucks should be powered by hydrogen. Because there is a big difference in the weight of the batteries and in the hydrogen complete production in the cars of electricity. As you know, each electric cars can be refitted on hydrogen use cars. It means instead of batteries, it will be installed in the fuel cell, and we have made already in Croatia 2 cars using on hydrogen fuel cells. We got delegation from Toyota Mirai, and they were surprised how we did our cars powered by hydrogen. And we are ready to get orders for refit and other cars. We are at the moment working on the one Tesla. New cars, Tesla should be repowered by hydrogen too. And of course, the question of the big trucks and the buses. As I came from industry in Switzerland 5 years ago, we have started the production of the hydrogen and buying trucks. In Switzerland, the company where I worked bought 1,600 trucks on hydrogen. And they built 230 refueling stations in hydrogen, of course with own production of the hydrogen as green hydrogen from electricity from hydropower plants. Our another scope of interest is the refit of the ships of the boats to put hydrogen power, as well as trains and especially manual locomotives using cargoes. The scope of interest, we are working very hard there. Here, as you can see, left side, it's a docking company has started the production of the machine which makes biomass and organic waste to hydrogen. It means that is the gasification of the waste or biomass in order to get the hydrogen. Just for example, if we take 25 tons of the waste, for instance, plastic, organic plastic, we can get about 1,000, here on the right side, we can get about 1,200 kilograms of the hydrogen. Once again, from 25 tons of the waste daily, we can power, there is 48 trucks. It means 48 trucks or 48 buses can be powered with hydrogen which we got from waste. In the moment in Croatia, in Zagreb waste, there is 500,000 tons of the waste waiting to be recycled. Of course, hydrogen can be used as a production of electricity in closed distribution systems. It means there is no electricity grid, or there is no power. For instance, on the island, one machine, so-called, and to produce electricity needed for this island from hydrogen. Where is the position of the hydrogen in Europe concerning the transport? We in Croatian Association, we are working very hard that transport of the hydrogen should be with the river Danube, and Croatia take serious part in this transport. As you know, European Union focused Bulgaria and Romania as countries where the most hydrogen will be produced, because all these power plants in Romania, Bulgaria, as well as in Ukraine will work off-grid. Production of hydrogen means we will get hydrogen without grid. And that's the purpose of the green hydrogen, green energy. And this hydrogen from Bulgaria, Romania, and Ukraine will be transported via Danube river to the Europe. And therefore we decided to take part in our port of Vukovar, which should transport hydrogen which should be produced in Slovenia or surrounding areas. It means that the main hub of the hydrogen is in Rotterdam. And they are working now very strong to getting a big hydrogen storage in Rotterdam. And this hydrogen storage in this hub will exchange, for instance, now is near the Vienna main hub for the gas. And another point of the big production of hydrogen should be Portugal and Spain, of course, because of Spain, because of the solarity and energy from solar power plants. And completely hydrogen should be transported to Rotterdam. This hydrogen, which should be transported by ship, should be transported as liquid organic hydrogen carriers, not compressed gas, liquid organic hydrogen carrier. We are working in Croatia in our company in this system, and we have success there. How about TNT corridor? In our agenda of hydrogen production in Croatia, we joined TNT rules, TNT for European Union, where should be built the refueling stations. According to European Union rules, each 150 kilometers should be one hydrogen refueling station. And this is a nice corridor, which will show us where should be built the hydrogen refueling stations. And the first one, we think next year we are going to build in Zagreb, in Lučko. There is an intersection of the road between Austria, Slovenia, let's say Italy, or Adria coast. Of course, very important for us about marine traffic. Marine traffic, as you know, according to European Union, it will start that ships should be refitted instead of diesel oil, should be used hydrogen or methanol or ammonia as the fuel with a zero emission of the pollution. And we are working on that very much. This corridor of the Slovenia-Croatia border is exactly which we are going to put our refueling stations, and here on the map you can see which cities should be connected there. Of course, another question is about connecting the producers and suppliers of the hydrogen with the pipelines. We are in connection and discussion with the Croatian operator of the gas system. According to the rule now, till 20% of the hydrogen can be injected in the pipeline, 20%. It means the hydrogen can be transported via existing pipelines. There are some difficulties about it and some regulations, depending on what type of material is pipeline. Is it plastic or is it steel? Mostly problem with hydrogen is leakage through welded parts of the pipelines. But anyhow, we are working together with the city of Zagreb municipality of transport hydrogen for central heating on the houses in Zagreb. And we are going in this project making 10% hydrogen will be injected in the city of Zagreb. to show how does it work. And of course, our partners in hydrogen in Croatia is also Petrol company, which is member of association, and we have big support from Slovenian companies concerning hydrogen in Croatia in this region, as well as Iskra in Šibenik. There are one company owned by Slovenian company, and we are working also to implement first refueling stations for the ships in Šibenik in port, in harbor, which belongs to Iskra shipyard. And another possibility we see really very bright, especially now when this hydrogen valley between Croatia, Slovenia and Italy has been established, and we see possibility that our hydrogen supply via Slovenian parties and companies to this market, which should be connected. In Croatia, we are working together in association. We have 44 members. They are PhD engineers, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, as well as the companies, serious companies in Croatia are members of our association, and we have made a consortium from Croatian and Slovenian companies, which will go to refit trains, ships, and tractors and the cars. That's our joint venture. For instance, most important is this a small one, utility vehicle docking we made on hydrogen, powered by hydrogen. And the next step is this feeder. This is a tractor which works in forest, should be powered by hydrogen. We are working also in a complete system that we support Croatian industry together with Slovenian partners in one consortium. And once again, I would like to thank you very much, Saša, for your support. Really, we feel as the best our partner should be Slovenian companies and partners, because we are thinking almost the same direction. And of course, we encourage all the companies can be join our association as members, and we can use knowledge, ours, we can use their knowledge. And the first project which we are now making on one bigger scale should be first production of the electrolyzer between Slovenian and Croatian companies. There are companies which are in our association, as you see, from Siemens Energy, Tetida, Docking, the Technics, Petrol, Solis. Once again, thank you very much.
I'm not sure if everybody watched the inauguration of American President, current American President. It was a snowy day, and this sweeper, actually, or cleaner, or snow cleaner, this was powered by hydrogen, and it was made in Macedonia. So we're not talking today about something that could be done, I think, in best laboratory in America or somewhere else. It could be done anywhere. Anyhow, there's a million question whether on the Green Deal challenges we can talk about transition or transformation. We most probably will not be able to answer this question today, and I'm inviting Dr. Tomaž Žagar, President of Slovenian Society of Nuclear Experts, to address challenges of EU decarbonization with harmonized development of energy system with nuclear, hydro, and renewables. As you know, Slovenia and Croatia, we have 50-50 ownership in nuclear power plant, Krško, which is about 40 kilometers from Žagar.
Thank you, Mr. Šanin, for the invitation and giving me the opportunity to talk about this issue. So, as mentioned before, I'm President of the Nuclear Society of Slovenia, and I'm also employed at Gen Energija, the utility owning the nuclear power plant Krško, Slovenian part, and some other nuclear power plants in Slovenia, and the retailer companies, and we are present as a company in the electricity and gas market. So this is really our home field. And I will talk about quite a recent question: is nuclear fits into in clean energy taxonomy of European Commission? What is the position of nuclear in Europe? What is the position of nuclear in globally? And the things are changing fast. As you heard before, hydrogen is very energy intensive carrier. It needs a lot of energy. 50 kilowatt hours for 1 kilogram of hydrogen. 50 kilowatt hours is a consumption of one household, approximately, a day. So 1 house per day, or 1 kilogram of hydrogen. So what we can conclude here, we will need more energy anyway, to produce more electricity, because to produce hydrogen with we need to produce hydrogen, we need electricity. And so the first part of my speech is, what is the role of nuclear in producing electricity globally? What is the role of nuclear producing electricity also in Europe? These are the shares of different fuels producing electricity globally. Nuclear is here. And you can see in the world, nuclear produces around 10% of electricity. In OECD countries, 18% of electricity. And in EU, this was in 2017, so it was still EU 28. It was 25% of electricity. So interesting, if we look at how the development goes, I mean, world, OECD, EU, I believe that, this is the trend. You can see more developed countries have higher shares of nuclear. In the world, 18, in OECD 18, in Europe 25. The similar trend is here with renewables. So if you go to more developed worlds, you have more renewables, more nuclear, and coal is going down if you just look at this development stage. But we in Europe, we already see nuclear is the highest, is the source of electricity with highest share. In Europe, we get around a quarter of all electricity from nuclear, and almost half of all clean electricity from nuclear. Why I'm talking about clean electricity? Because, as we said before, we need to decarbonize fast. We need to reduce our dependency on coal, gas, and oil for producing electricity, and later coal, gas, and oil for all other energy. No, this is okay. So this is somewhere the border. So this is clean, is here, with less than 100 grams of CO2 per kilowatt hour produced. And we've seen before, this is, falls into the same category. So if you produce hydrogen from these sources, it will be clean. And of course, here, these are, let's say, carbon-intensive sources, coal, natural gas, oil. Coal has sometimes even more than 1,000 grams of CO2 per kilowatt hour, so they are significantly above this limit of 50 or 100, which is here. Just one thing here below, you can see the share of nuclear in electricity generation in Europe is almost always close to 50. Last week it was 51. And here's this interesting correlation between the share of nuclear and the cleanness of electricity. 1,000 grams per kilowatt hour is really dirty electricity, and here is the limit 100. Sometimes the limit is set below 50. So if you want to produce clean hydrogen, we need to use electricity below here. Currently below here are France, Sweden, Switzerland, Brazil is close, Canada is close, Finland is also close. And it doesn't need to be really a smart guy to see some correlation here. I mean, higher share of nuclear, lower CO2 emissions in the system. It's quite general. The only exceptions here are really countries which have really high share of hydro. And I'm quite confident here to say that there are just two technologies in the world that can really decarbonize the whole system of electricity supply. It is hydro and nuclear. And we know that hydro is limited. The rivers are not very common around, or free running rivers. Nuclear is practically can enable us fast growth and fast decarbonization. Now, of course, the next question is, how fast? Because we have seen in COP last month, we need to go decarbonize fast. Time is running out, CO2 emissions are going too high. So how to decarbonize fast? First of all, we need to question ourselves how to measure fast. And we can measure fast by how much clean electricity
how much clean electricity is added to the grid per year per capita of construction. New electricity, so you hook up new power plants to the grid, and you have new electricity. And then how much of this new electricity is added to the grid? And if you take 10 best years, and in this graph, these are just clean technologies, said before, and the previous graph is old technologies. And so the best 10 years, and here you have oil, coal, and by surprise, for example, the fastest way is hydro. Then the second fastest way is nuclear. Here comes gas. And if we focus just on the clean technologies, and these are actual data from countries doing this. Nuclear hydro is really fastest. Sweden nuclear, the second fastest. France nuclear, third fastest. Finland nuclear, third fastest. And here's Finland, for example, 1975 to 1995. And here comes wind. Sweden was really fast to add new wind power plant, 2007, 2017, really best years for wind. What is interesting is that Germany, when they were really building nuclear in 75, 85, they were decarbonizing faster than they're decarbonizing now here with solar, and Germany wind is here, combined. How that? I mean, we're talking about solar, we're talking about wind. How come that decarbonization with nuclear is faster? The answer is energy density. Nuclear is 1,000 times more energy dense than any other source. And you can build gigawatts power plants instead of megawatts. And of course, in producing something, it is really important that you add a lot in a single shot. Of course, it takes 10 years to construct, but still, it is faster than building small on different places. This is the data, not calculations. So then the question for nuclear, of course, is cost. And here we have really have to compare cost of clean technologies on the same basis. What I'm saying, the same basis, the same average cost of capital per investment. Normally, when you see such calculations, you will see, of course, coal, gas. They're not here in this picture because they all depend, the cost of generation of coal, gas, and oil is primarily dependent on the cost of fuel. And what clean technologies have in common, this is the same for solar, wind, and nuclear. The cost of generation in those power plants doesn't depend on the cost of fuel because it is either very small. In nuclear, the percentage of cost of fuel is 5%, almost negligible, or is zero in hydro, wind, or solar. So the majority of cost in the production cost comes from the investment. And now the trick here comes, then when you are calculating investment costs for solar and wind, everybody was taking very low cost of capital because it is like subsidized or is government supported. So the cost of capital in general calculations for wind and solar are around 2%. And for nuclear, they say, no, governments cannot add any cost guarantee, so the nuclear has to go for capital on private markets. And capital on private markets is expensive, like 9%, 7%. And then, of course, if you compare those two things, it's like comparing apples and pears, right? It's not the same. But if you take the same cost of capital, in this case, for example, this one was made for 4%, you can see that nuclear is cheaper than the same cost for wind or solar. And I could go on or calculate this in different ways, and you can find these calculations by yourselves, but the main message here, if you try to compare solar, wind, and nuclear, you should always take care that weighted average cost of capital is the same for all technologies, that the capacity factor is exactly the capacity factor that is currently available, not some hypothetical one. The capital cost, yes, of course, the investment in nuclear is like 5,000 per kilowatt installed, but take realistic fixed operation and maintenance costs. Now, the cost of capital is, of course, influenced by legislation. And one part of legislation that is currently really under the negotiations right now is the green taxonomy. Question. So, is it nuclear in green taxonomy or out? Currently, it is not in and it is not out. The European Commission has promised that it will end the ruling about this by the end of this year. I hope they will. It is not yet, so the jury is still out, right? But current status in the member states is changing fast, and this is in November this year. We have 12 countries that clearly support inclusion of nuclear in green taxonomy. Those countries are Finland, Sweden, France, Netherlands, Poland, Czech, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Slovenia, Croatia. And we have 5 countries that clearly oppose it. Those 5 countries are Denmark, Luxembourg, Germany, Austria, and Portugal. Then we have some countries leaning on one way or another way, these lighter colors. But for those countries, dark green or dark brown, those statements are documented in this chart either by some statement, a letter sent from the minister or from the government to European Commission or some other really official document. In the case, what I would like to point out is that in the case of the support of those countries for nuclear is based on technical analysis or environmental impact analysis of the whole cycle, and done by serious companies or institutions. For example, we have the report by European Commission Joint Research Center that said that nuclear is no more harmful than any other green technology around. Then we have the reports of United Nations impact of climate change, so the commissions behind the COP conferences. So this is more than 2,000 scientists around the globe. They all say that nuclear fits into the same category as green technologies. And of course, it also complies with this do no significant harm condition set by the Commission. The opposition, and this is clearly written in the letter signed by those 5 countries, they oppose inclusion of nuclear into the green taxonomy because they assume that investment in nuclear would deter investment in other renewables. So they don't oppose because of impact, of course of not clean, of course of cost, but of course because this investment would deter from other investments. Now, from the just logical thinking, if you want really to invest in something that is expensive, you first invest in something that will produce a lot of money, and then from this surplus, you can expand also renewables. This is our logic. So this is one slide that really captures the message of a lot of those reports. I mean, you can find around a lot of reports what is really the impact, technical impact, and environmental impact of different technologies on the environment and safety. And this one, well, this is, from this Our World in Data. They do really good jobs on pulling together data and presenting it. But the references here used are the references in the reports. So this is just good presentation. And you can see here the impact. This is safety. So how many deaths per 1 terawatt hour of electricity produces one system. And this is the impact on the environment calculated here in just greenhouse gas emissions. Now, and this is for life cycle assessment. Life cycle assessment means you assess the whole cycle from the mine to the repository, including accidents, pollution, everything that goes into environment. And here you have the clean technologies and safe technologies are grouped together. 0.2 deaths, 0.7 deaths, 0.4 deaths, 0.2 deaths per terawatt hour of electricity produced. These are either accidents or impacts into health, whatever. And here is the impact to the environment, the tons of CO2 per terawatt hour produced, simply the same. So here we have the coal is, of course, here. This is the impact to the lungs and, of course, the smoke. And these are deaths are also from the pollution and from the deaths in accidents, also accidents in mines, which are just happening. You can go to every month, there's some death in some mine, very dangerous. And also from breathing polluted air. Just in Europe, just in Slovenia, we have around 700 additional deaths because of coal usage. In France, they have 1,400. In Germany, they have 2,000 deaths per year because of air pollution from coal, directly attributed to coal. What is really the situation of nuclear new build in Europe? Because we saw that we will need a lot of new electricity to replace coal and additional electricity to produce hydrogen. So a lot of new electricity will be needed. So what is here with the nuclear power plants in Europe? Currently, there are 40 new nuclear power plants in construction. Now, in statistics, nuclear engineers will like to be very precise. And if we say nuclear power plant is in construction, it means nuclear island, so the concrete below the reactor is being already constructed. This is the construction. There are many more sites in Europe that are already, in general terms, under construction. For example, Paks in Hungary, too, there's already construction site. Hankivivi in Finland, there's already a construction site there with a lot of work going on, but the nuclear island is not under construction yet, right? So in this site, you can see more, let's say, officially nuclear power plants in planning, but the contracts were signed, equipment is already under production, and the preparatory works on the sites are ongoing or are close to ongoing. And these new sites are, of course, for example, in Finland, we have 2 construction sites. Olkiluoto should be finished this or next year. Hankivivi is starting. In Russia, we have 3. This is European part. In Belarus, there are 2 already constructed. In Ukraine, it says 2, but in fact, they just signed another contract for 5 more this week. Ukraine has signed a contract with Westinghouse, and they have bought 5 AP1000 power plants, and the intention is to build another 10. So Ukraine is currently the second biggest nuclear power plant site in Europe, behind France. They already have 50 nuclear power plants in operation, and they will build at least 5 more, if not 15. And the interesting is geopolitically, but I would not go into this, that they are switching from Russian power plants to American power plants. And we have, in Turkey, there are 4 power plants in construction in Akuyu, and in Romania 2, and Polish, they say that they have a contract for 6, but it's not signed yet. Czech Republic has tender out for 2. In Slovak Republic, they're constructing 2. Hungary, I said, Paks 2, the contracts are signed and equipment is being produced and the site is being prepared for beginning of the construction. Great Britain, we know about Hinkley Point 2, Hinkley Point C, there are 2 power plants constructed, and the Sizewell C, the contracts are also being prepared. And France, we know 1 is under construction, and President Macron just announced they will have 6 more. For 4, there's already a site approved. For 2, there's a siting process going on. So 6 more are coming before 2030. So let's go to hydrogen now. So nuclear and hydrogen. We know that nuclear can produce electricity and a lot of electricity. Nuclear can also produce heat and hydrogen. And of course, this is an area that is opening fast. Things are changing fast now here in this area. But it's not, let's say, something that came just yesterday. So, of course, if you want to have a clean hydrogen, we know we need low carbon power generation. This is either wind park, geothermal, solar, or nuclear. Of course, from the water, and then the whole cycle, we have heard this before. And we're talking about hybrid systems, so power plants producing electricity and hydrogen, and this is all combined. And we're also talking about advanced nuclear power plant systems producing hydrogen, electricity, and heat. And this is all in the pipelines for the future, for next 10, 20 years. But where are we today? Currently, we know that hydrogen can be produced by nuclear power plants with PEM, so this is electrolyzers. And the projects for this are active in UK, in US, in France, and Russia. And this is a graph from UK study. UK is really big on nuclear hydrogen. They have a special site, a nuclear site, Wi-Fi, that they will focus it on nuclear hydrogen hub. France also announced 2 big hubs for nuclear hydrogen, but the sites are not produced yet. And here is, for example, the costs. Of course, if you go to cleanless, for 1 ton of hydrogen produced from nuclear, you emit just 1/4 ton of CO2, or less, depending on the technology. But using current technology, it's 1 ton of hydrogen, just 25 kilos of CO2. So well below the limit. But then the question is, of course, cost. And the cost, well, the cost, because electrify is refinery, and of course, if you have availability, high availability, the cost goes down. And here we have the charts. This is the solar. In UK, it's really not very cool. This is wind, and this is nuclear. So the cost of hydrogen produced in UK, for example, for solar, is $10 per kilogram, and produced from nuclear, it is between $1 and $3 per kilogram. Now, this is still expensive because production of hydrogen from natural gas, which is not clean, of course, it's dirty hydrogen, but it was one at prices of natural gas before. Now it's a little bit different, maybe. But the target for hydrogen is really to go below $1 per kilogram. Current technologies with nuclear are somewhere here between 3 to 1.5. So the conclusions here is when the hydrogen will be really needed, the production of hydrogen nuclear will be clean and cheaper, of course, and can add a lot here. I would like to conclude here about some recent political statements about nuclear. I'm really happy to say that even a president of European Commission, Mr. Ursula von der Leyen, just last month said that nuclear is an energy source that will be needed in Europe. This was her first statement in the mandate that clearly defined her position towards nuclear. Before, she was really, I would not like to comment, it is up to the Commission and so on, very, not vocal about that. This is contrary, for example, to United States, Russia, China. They all are very clean on nuclear. They say, Biden administration said nuclear is in, Russian administration said nuclear has the same conditions for financing as renewables. China is also putting nuclear and other renewables together in the statistics and support. So Europe is here behind, and our industry is under danger that if we don't make a decision fast about nuclear, we will be left behind. And UK is also very clean on this position. For UK, it's not EU anymore, but for UK, nuclear is clean. Jennifer Granholm, United States, very clean on nuclear. Fatih Birol, which is the executive director of International Energy Agency, so he said that we need to accelerate nuclear growth. Currently, under current predictions, we are calculating on the doubling of nuclear power in the next 20 years, doubling. He's calling for tripling to 4 times increasing the power of nuclear in the next 20 to 40 years. This is needed to decarbonize fast. And nuclear can deliver it, as Samuel Bibalo-Leon, Director General of World Nuclear Association, said. China is a proof that it can be fast. I mean, in Europe, we also had in past examples that it was fast, but China is a recent example. Just in the last 10 years, China added 40 new large reactors. This is 40 gigawatts, 40,000 megawatts in the grid in just 10 years, constructed and connected. This is enough power to power the whole United Kingdom 100% in 10 years. You can decarbonize one country with nuclear. Okay, thank you for attention, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here.
We heard very clear we have to react very fast. And now I would like to invite Simon Ferjuc from company Tetida, and he will share with us his experience as owner of the company that is providing EU financing, or helping providing EU financing, how actually he would advise to some foreign investors. For instance, when I came to Zagreb, I heard from production companies in Croatia that they have some difficulties to get EU fundings, especially like Mr. Jakić mentioned Iskra. Iskra actually bought, in reality, a hub that is port, that is also constructing new boats. And of course, if they want to transform themselves actually in a new way, they need special sources. And sometimes, like this is Šibenik, they don't understand them very well. And Simon, floor is yours.
Yeah, dear Bernard, thank you. My name is Simon Ferjuc. I'm coming from Slovenia. I'm now living here in Croatia 10 years. I'm in this kind of business 15 years on the field of EU funds, and on the field of business modeling 25 years. Tetida is, I hope, experienced company. I know that it. Behind us is 800 different projects from the field of implementation of investment, and about public project 150. Our goal is over 89%. The company is specialized for developing new projects. We are working on the field H2 hydrogen, rural development, tourism, and entrepreneurship. I have said that we have 15 years experience, and 25 is now, it's wrong number on that field. We are also a founder of Croatia Network for Sustainable Development, as well as platform for sustainable development of cities. And we are also a member of Croatia Association of Hydrogen. I think that's everything from me, from my side. But now will speak our Barbara. She is chief of back office. She's operative. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. As Simon said, my name is Barbara, and I will tell you more about how to get EU funds. Simon forgot to mention that with this association, that president is Mr. Jakić, we are... Thank you. Our main goal, our purpose in this association is that we represent companies. We apply for EU grants for other members. Sorry. So how can we get funds? The most interesting is two types of tenders. One is centralized tenders. Those are the grants that come directly from Brussels. On the other hand, we have decentralized tenders. They are the grants that come from ministries of Republic of Croatia. Then we also have different kind of bilateral agreements. For example, with Switzerland and Norway. And of course, in the end, what we all have probably at home, credits. So credits, bank that gives credits, very big credits to companies are European Investment Bank and European Bank for Construction and Development. There are two types of tenders that we can see here, development and investment. The difference is with development tenders, you can obtain the grant from 70 to even 100% of project costs. That mostly, I'm sorry, depends on the type of applicant. That can be a profitable company or non-profit institution. On the other hand, we have investment tender where you can get a subsidy from 35 to 85%. Also, depends on the type of applicant. In this case, it can be a private company, public institution, or a company that's owned by this institution. So we listed here some of the grants, some of the tenders and programs that are most important at this moment. So here you can see Horizon, Green Deal, Innovation Fund, EAC. Of course, there is our National Recovery and Resilience Plan. Then there are different kind of Interreg programs. At this moment, a few days ago, Central Interreg just opened, and we are reviewing the program to see if we can put our project idea that I mention later to apply for this Interreg. And of course, we have EEA and Norway grants. On the other hand, we have technical support. So if companies it has some big project, they can get technical support up to 5% of their project costs from bank we mentioned before. Mostly this support will be for the documentation to prepare this project. As you heard today, hydrogen is the future because Europe said that. We can see the pollution and everything. We have to try to I'm sorry, for Europe to be more climate neutral. And we think that it can be achieved with hydrogen, with pure hydrogen. As you heard, there's a couple of ways how we can get this hydrogen. One of them is wind, solar, water, waste, and there is a geothermal power plant. According to all said today, we in Tetida were thinking what can we do, what kind of idea, what kind of project we can make. So this is a short version of idea. So participant in our project would be schools, primarily our secondary schools. The budget, unfortunately, is not defined yet because it depends on a number of schools that will be involved. But here the list of project activities, I will describe it briefly. So basically, we put solar panels on schools. Hydrogen is produced, hydrogen is stored. Near some school, near that school, we put a filling station, and the school buys some kind of small bus that it's used for their purposes. For example, field trips, for the transport kids from school to home, because not all kids live nearby. Of course, this filling station will be open to public. So maybe citizens of that city will be more open to buy hydrogen car from themselves because they will see the purpose of it, and now they have filling station in their city. After the whole project is over, we will teach children about the whole project, the solars, and how it works. Of course, hydrogen that will be used, except for buses and cars, can be used for these schools for heating systems and for electricity, whatever they need in the school. So here's the investment. What do we need in this project? So of course there is solar panels, then there is electrolyzer, then there is small bus, and of course a hydrogen filling station. So if you're interested to become a part of our project, you have some more ideas, you have more questions about EU funds, you can contact us on these emails or telephone numbers, and we'll try to help you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I would like to invite Dr. Saša Muminović. I'm not sure if everybody knows that we have almost 20 years Slovenian Croatian Business Club, and Saša Muminović, President of Aquafil Slovenia Croatia, is chairman of Slovenian Croatia Association, a business club, and he will present the latest survey that our business club made. I think it was first time. And this is some kind of, I would call it actually on a soft way, it is some kind of typing or touching the business community, I mean in Croatia, I mean Slovenian companies, how do they feel in Croatia, and of course Croatian community, how do they feel in Slovenia in business environment. Saša, floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the SLO CRO Business Club, as Bernard nicely presented, we are promoting Slovenian-Croatian relationship, mainly in economy, for over 20 years. When I'm not in Slovenia and Croatian Business Club, I'm in Ecofil Group, that is a European circular economy pioneer. Everything that is made from nylon fiber now can be made from recycled or regenerated nylon. It is something that is completely new on chemical and plastic industry. Highlight of today's presentations is hydrogen. But you have also heard a lot about Slovenian and Croatian cooperation. For example, a nuclear plant Krško, then Hydrogen Valley in Nova Gorica. That cooperation is for us very important because in scale of European economies, Croatian and Slovenian economy are rather small, but we are very, very much combined, and it is more even important when we address third market challenges. So maybe in some project, Slovenian and Croatian interpreters or companies cannot be competitive, but together we are aiming for some higher goals. Before acting together, it is important to see if we know each other well and how do we see each other. So we have conducted one survey. Oops. For the first time, with a sample of 45 companies in Slovenia and 82 in Croatia. I will present only a few slides because of the time, because the whole survey was published in our annual review, SLO CRO Business Mirror. So, going back to the past, we asked our companies, when they were going abroad, is it our neighbor country, the first country that they opened their branch, company, or some present at anyway? And you can see how neighbor country is important. For Slovenian companies, it is almost the first country for internationalization. For Croatia, a little bit less, because we have to consider that Croatia is also oriented on Bosnian and Herzegovinian market and also in Serbian market. Very nice question. When we talk about foreign investments, we are always talking who can help you when you open a company in neighborhood country. Do you know about state institutions? For example, here in Croatia, it is Hamag Bicro, it is special agency for that. In Slovenia, it is a Spirit public agency under the Minister of Economy. And it is interesting that they're not, the companies are not oriented to those agencies. Even they are trying a lot. For companies, it is more important to know some other company and to rely on the personal experience. So what source of information is important to enter neighborhood market? You see, as I said, contacts and acquaintances. Everything else, even market research, is not that important. We also see here the approval of our existence as a Slovenian Croatian Business Club, because it is obvious that management in our companies wants to see each other, wants to meet each other. What is a business climate in neighbor country? The majority of our companies in the sample see the business climate almost the same. that is very important to us, because the huge differences will be definitely a problem in mutual cooperation. Do you see any obstacles? The majority of them don't see any obstacles in doing business in neighborhood country. The only interesting thing is the final language difference. Almost nobody in Slovenia see Croatian language as a problem, because lots of Slovenian people visiting the coast, the sea in Croatia, they are spending their vacation here, they're watching Croatian television, but the opposite is a little bit problem, because the very few of Croatian tourists are going to Slovenia, mostly in winter time for skiing, and Slovenian television and Slovenian language is not that present in Croatia, unfortunately. Maybe that will be changed in the future. And even we have excellent economic interaction. The turnover in goods, in services is growing every year, except last. The question, do you want more to do business in Slovenia or Croatia? The answer was yes. So even the statistics is that good, we still see that there is space for improvements. So, as I said, we published the whole survey. It is a long survey in our yearly journal, SLO CRO Business Mirror. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. Due to some technical problems that we had at the beginning, actually, I just want to share with everybody, and also those who are following us through the online, that any question that would be able to be posed, actually, I will share with everybody the contact numbers of presentations today, so they will be able to raise questions directly, and all the presentations will be sent to you by mail. And before we finish this today's meeting, I would like to say to everybody, since we are about 1 month before the end of year, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thank you for participation. And before we are resetting actually our meeting, I would like to draw your attention in a very short film that goes very simply in direction of, I would say, new challenges that we are facing. This is in vicinity of 36 kilometers from Zagreb. There is the tallest chimney in Europe. It's 360 meters tall, and it's some kind of reminder of past. This is a region that was very much dedicated to mining and coal mining, and production of electric energy from through the coal. Then when they closed this electric power plant, the chimney, which is the tallest in Europe, remained. And there was a young group of enthusiasts, I would call, who decided to persuade government to keep this chimney, even though that they decided to tear this chimney down, similar, I would not say, to what we see in movies actually with the explosive and so on. But with such kind of action, in reality, actually you could cause many diseases, because nobody knows asbestos and so on, and especially this is a small valley which would cause a big problem. So they decided to preserve this chimney, and they are looking for new identity with this chimney. And this is I would say, the final say goodbye to everybody, and thank you very much for your attention.
Sit back, relax, and go to heaven with DD Squad.
Fourteen more to go. You can see a bit of blue sky up there.
You can see by the look on our faces that the climb is not so easy.
It takes a lot of effort to get up this chimney, and for us it was even more effort because we had to haul up a whole lot of equipment.
So we're carrying a lot of safety equipment, safety gear, cameras, water, and of course chocolate bars.
I think it's going good. I mean, we're only 1 hour behind schedule, so that's perfect.
Only 1 hour?
Yeah.
The last bag is up on the top, and this is one of 6 bags. It's about 100 kilos of equipment that we brought up. And it took us hours, but it was all so worth it, man. Like on the way up, seeing all the mists and the clouds from above, sunrise saying hello to us in the morning. Once you come to the top and you take a look over the edge into the chimney, scary, man. So to put things in perspective, the height of the Eiffel Tower is 324 meters, and the chimney intervale is 360 meters tall.
It's time for morning yoga on 360 meters.
Oh yeah! Woohoo! Woo! We're almost as high as Snoop Dogg, you know?
So right now I'm preparing for human flag. I'm gonna do it out of this cage. It's pretty sketchy because it's all wobbly and the edges of it are sharp as fuck. It's one of the best views. But you need a good heart. That was intense and painful at the same time.
The scariest part for me, because I was securing everything, was the thought of someone falling and the rope ripping. Everything is super secure, but still there's a lot of sharp edges. And this is what makes me nervous.
Now you are all invited in small gathering, of course with the all epidemic measures. Welcome.